Matt and Jeff Hardy they haven't re-signed yet, but they're actually on the verge of re-signing with TNA. This is according to Fightful Select. Yeah, I really thought this was going to happen. I didn't think that they were actually leaving. Um, the Hardy Boys have been great for TNA. I know everybody wants to
Yeah.
point to the WWE as being the sole reason for TNA's like upswing in business, but the Hardy Boys are very much a part of that. Like when those NXT stars come to TNA, they're not like other than Trick Williams, they're not over, and nobody's there to see them. The reason why the NXT and the WWE fans are at these TNA shows is for two reasons. One, because WWE told them it was okay, and two, they're there to see the Hardy Boys, right? The Hardy Boys are WWE legends, and WWE said it's okay to go watch them in TNA. TNA is outdrawing NXT, right? So I'm not going to give NXT a ton of credit for TNA's audience, but the most overact on every live event that TNA has, even when Joe Hendry's been on it, has been the Hardy Boys. They got the longest line in merch. They are legitimate draws, right? They are not Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar draws. They're not John Cena draws. But if you put them on your show, and you're not WWE, if you put the Hardy Boys on your show, your ticket sales are likely to spike because they're on it, right?
Mike,
And that's been proven in TNA, and it's been proven in these indies all over the country, which is kind of what the Young Bucks were before they joined AEW. Is they were legitimate draws, and the Hardy Boys are that.
well, here's a couple things. One, if you put Joe NYE on an AEW show, I don't know if it gets that much of a draw. Like I think there's certain people that within the WWE system can draw, but it's because they're in that system, right? Once
Yeah,
they're out of the system, it changes. So I don't know. Two, the Hardy Boys have been at various points in their career the lifeblood of TNA. A
yeah,
decade ago, they were doing the same thing when TNA was really struggling, right? When they had lost Destination America, that's when Matt Hardy came out with the Broken Universe, right? And it was it made TNA cult favorites, right? It put a lot of interest into TNA. And the fact that they've been able to do this again, and it restarted, they got re signed by Deb because they were done. People were done with the Hardys
yeah.
until Broken Matt came along. And then all of a sudden it became the hottest act. And who kind of helped feed that was the Young Bucks. They had this great rivalry, this TNA Ring of Honor rivalry with the
Mm-hmm.
Young Bucks and the Hardys. And that was a big draw. And that's what led the Hardys to going back to WWE in 2017. Right? Like they've done this a couple times over. That being said, they're a decade older. If TNA weren't to re-sign them while they're heading in, like what a great time for the Hardys contracts to be up.
Yeah,
Right when they're about to debut on I almost said Destination America on AMC, like they're stars, and they're the most recognizable stars. You got to give them what they want because they're the most important people in TNA right now.
you know what? Like people are gonna like think that you're being mean when you say that, but no, it's absolutely the case.
Wow,
And
it's the
the
truth.
it's a complete truth. It's a complete and honest truth. And that's no shade on anybody else in that company. I think everybody in that company would agree with what we're saying.
Matt and
The
Jeff
Hardy
Hardy have been
Boys,
stars for 25 years. Like Matt and
yeah,
Jeff Hardy are wrestling stars. Like, and the
yeah,
TNA is like, so the moment that they came back to TNA, things started changing for that company. Right? They were
yes.
already on the upswing. They're really good at grassroots marketing. They're so undervalued, like they're so underrated by the pro wrestling community and how well they market. TNA, they're fucking grassroots. They work their ass off to sell tickets every show they go to. And they got the Hardys, who are
Mhm.
legitimate draws. Like, that's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. And Matt got himself jammed up with internet wrestling community about his takes on storytelling versus five-star matches, and I don't really want to get into that, but because I thought the whole conversation was kind of stupid. But so people were trying to say that he was never a draw, that he's nothing without his brother. And I'm like, look, Jeff is the bigger star, but the Hardy Boys act is a drawing act, and Matt Hardy is the one that is the guy that drives that ship. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, yeah, his brother is the biggest star, but Matt is just as important as his brother in that tag team because he's the one that's like he's the one putting the matches together. He's the one like Jeff is like just kind of like this weird dude off to the side, thinking of like weird artistic spots he can do. But Matt is the one negotiating with the other talent on how to get these things done. He's the one negotiating the deals. Like Matt runs the show. Jeff is just like the artistic one. So
They're
I
a
don't think that
band.
you can have one without the other. I think they're the perfect combination.
Hardy Boys, far more professional wrestling tag team is like a band, right? Like sometimes the band drifts off and there's like a star from the band. And Jeff Hardy on his own for a brief moment in like 2009 was like the biggest star in professional wrestling.
For sure.
But he just can't maintain it long term because he's Jeff Hardy. Like he just burns bright. You know, whereas Matt Hardy is very much like workman, like very much a journeyman, but he's very creative and he's got a great business sense and he's sharp. Matt Hardy's real smart. He jumped to AEW when it was at its coolest, right? When it was at its up, and Matt Hardy said, okay, time for me to go there. And he like worked it really well and he just found that he couldn't go anymore.
Yeah.
Right. And that's been Matt's biggest problem is that he didn't have the work rate to hang in AEW, and the AEW fans didn't buy the bells and whistles. Now that Hardy Boys run in AEW that we were about to have, which was self-destructed because Jeff is Jeff, which is a shame because I think would have gotten some fun stuff out of it, you know, and they would have gotten to have a chance to have been the tag team champs everywhere, which I think would have been, as a completist, I think it would have been really cool. I'm probably the only person who kind of laments that we didn't get a true Hardy Boys run in AEW. It's just me. But I mean, like, they're like a band. Like sometimes you get like Alice in Chains has not been the same since Lane Staley died. Like they'll do stuff. Jerry's awesome, but Jerry and Lane together made that shit work.
Did you ever go see Alice in Chains with that new singer they got?
No, I don't care.
I did. They opened for God, I can't remember who I don't even remember who they opened for, but I did go, and it was a fun show. Like the guy can sing, but it wasn't Lane Staley. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not Lane.
Yeah.
Like it just, you need a band. Like when a band works, when everyone comes together the right way, you got the right pieces fit, and it's like, okay, now we got something. It just doesn't. There's just times it just doesn't work when you plug guys in, like Journey. Like I remember I went and saw Styx once, a different drummer, different singer. Like I'm like, this isn't like you're not the band. Like it's just not, it doesn't click. The Hardy Boys are like a band. Like they can do other things, but like together, the shit just works better. Like I go back to the Broken Universe. We were done with them a decade ago. Yeah. And they reinvented themselves and they did it again. Like never doubt them. Don't doubt them. They know how to get over. And Matt's got a point. I like 5-star matches. I adore 5-star matches. Matt has proven he specifically doesn't need to have a 5-star match to get over and sell tickets. Not many guys can say that. He can.
Right. Yeah. And that I'm so glad that you made that point, because everybody's like, it's this either or situation. And I don't really think that he meant that you can't do either or. And he's not saying that because he can't have 5-star matches. He's saying that because he doesn't have them, yet he's still a draw. And people are trying to debate whether or not that he's actually a draw, and he fucking is.
He is a draw.
Like legitimate draw.
Trick Williams ain't drawing shit for NXT. Maybe someday he can be a draw. I think he's been passed up by Obafemi. But like that guy could be a draw. Like I don't like, and Matt, and they think he's burying AEW. He says no. He has literally said in his shows, no, this is what AEW does. We cannot be AEW. He's 100% right.
Right. Like TNA doesn't. Right. TNA doesn't have the talent that AEW has. It would be like a football team trying to run their West Coast offense, but they don't have the actual football players to run the West Coast offense. You need to like run a power I offense, right? It's like saying it's like trying to run a fucking Dan Reeves offense versus a Bill Walsh offense. Mm-hmm. If you got Dan Reeves talent, you shouldn't run Bill Walsh's offense, right? Like they don't do the same things because they don't have the same level of talent.
Right.
Tony Khan has actively recruited talent to fit his company, right? And that is what TNA is actually doing right now. Now, what they're doing is they're trying to get television stars from WWE and now even some AEW actually with the Righteous, who they weren't big stars there, but they were on TV there. Bear Bronson was on AEW Dark, but I think they got something in that guy. I think he looks really good. So that's what they're doing. They're doing it a different way than what AEW does, and neither one is wrong or right.
We had a comment here, Ishmael 802. He says, Matt is nothing without Jeff, in my opinion. I think you're missing the point that we're trying to make here. It's that Jeff is a big star, but without Matt, he self-destructs. And he does it a lot on his own. Jeff on his own only lasts hot for a certain amount of time, and then something bad happens. But yet when they're together, it works better. So
Yes.
it's not that Matt is nothing without Jeff. It's not that Jeff is less than without Matt. It's just that when Matt and Jeff are together, it works better.
Yeah.
Like I said, they're a band, right?
Right.
They're a band. Like, okay, John Lennon had some pretty good hits, right? Instant Karma is a freaking killer track, truly is. Wings is fucking awful. I don't care anyone tells me. I hate Wings. They fucking stink.
They had a couple of hits.
They did have some hits, but they still stink. Because it's Paul McCartney.
Yes.
Right. However, the Beatles was amazing. Right.
Right.
You cannot tell me, you can say I don't like the Beatles, and I understand that. You cannot deny the fact that those two together had 20 number one singles.
Yes.
Right.
For sure.
Lennon and McCartney worked better than Lennon and McCartney solo. And they had hits. They had stuff. It worked.
They did.
But not like it did together.
Right. And you know what? Like Jeff Hardy's run lasted about as long as John Lennon's run before John Lennon got shot.
Well,
right.
Mark David Chapman had some other plans for that.
I mean, yeah, but I think the parallel is great. Like Matt Hardy is Paul McCartney, right? Mm-hmm. Paul McCartney is way better with John. John is way better than with Paul, yet John was still a bigger star than Paul was. Now, Paul is probably more famous right now because he's still alive.
He's alive.
He's still out there doing television.
Yeah, he won. Like he won the battle of longevity. Like John, but people would tell you John was a genius, and John was, John is very. It's like comparing the two of them like that is absolutely perfect. John was absolutely Jeff, right?
Yeah,
and Matt is absolutely Paul. Like, and then actually, when you could break this down a lot further because John was definitely way more avant-garde, which definitely fits into the Jeff category. Like that's actually an excellent comparison. But
yeah, again, and then so that makes Rebby Sky Yoko then.
Hey, you said it, not me.
And then like we got to like, okay, who's Pete Best and like who's Ringo? Like we can go down the fucking rabbit hole with the Beatles, man.
Man, what was his name? What was the father-in-law's name? The gardener,
Senor Benjamin.
Senor Benjamin is that's Pete Best. Okay, actually no, Shane Helms would be
George.
Would be Pete Best.
He would be
because he went somewhere else. He got kicked out. He got kicked out before they got famous.
Like Shannon Moore is like George Harrison, maybe. I don't know.
Sure.
We can ball game this like comparing the Beatles to the Hardy Boys. I could go all day on that.
And I'm sure Matt Hardy would catch us and be like, "Wow, that's awesome!" Like I'm sure he would like to be compared to like this. But the point is, together the Hardy Boys work better, and it's just proof. Look what you can not like TNA. I don't love TNA, but you can look at what they're doing right now and saying they've got an audience that they're serving, and it's the strongest TNA has been 15 years.
Easily. Easily. Yeah, for sure. Let's see. What about Michael Hayes? Michael Hayes would probably be their original producer, like in Britain, right?
George Martin.
Yeah. He'd be a George Martin, and Vince would probably be Ed Sullivan. We can go all day on this stuff.
We can do this. Maybe we can actually do this.
Okay. All right. So TNA contract. I'm just going to run through the contract updates really quick. So TNA is signing talent to like 90-day deals. There was like an erroneous report out there. I think it actually came from Dave. Sorry, Dave, but saying that AJ Francis, Steve Macklin, and some other folks had signed those deals. That was not the case. Like Macklin not only has not re-signed with TNA for a 90-day deal. He hasn't signed anything with TNA as far as I can tell. And in fact, AEW was at the Hammerstein tonight, and so was Steve Macklin hanging out with Josh Alexander. They posted the picture online. So I'm not saying that that's where Steve's going. I'll be honest. I would love for Steve to get a shot on a bigger stage. I don't see Tony Khan being interested, unfortunately, and that's a shame. I think that Steve would do great there, but he was there. I don't know if that's a power play by Steve or he like legitimately is just like hanging out with Josh, but I hope it's a power play. I want him to have that power play.
His wife works there too.
Yeah,
they're still married, right? Him and Deanna.
Yes, they have a podcast together actually now.
Oh, I never know. That's kind of cool, actually. Yeah. That's really, I always like when couples do podcasts. I think that's a smart move. Hey, my buddy Josh works for Tony. Tony likes to write big checks. That's smart. That's a smart move. I think TNA is completely stupid if they don't re-sign Steve Macklin. He has been one of their most consistent, and that's their guy. Like nobody gave a fuck about Steve Cutler. Like Steve Macklin's a dude in TNA. Like if they don't re-sign him, that's a massive mistake. Massive.
I think they'll get the deal done. Whenever they did the whole the intro for TNA on AMC, he was such a big part of that video that they had in there. They're really promoting him as a homegrown guy. He was just in the main event, and they had a War Game style match on Impact this week where they crushed those NXT nerds, and he was a big part of that match. I think that he's going to stick around. At least I hope so. Just for the sake of Brace for Impact, I think a lot of that hinges on his success.
It's your favorite wrestler. It's like absolutely your favorite wrestler right now. There's no doubt.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, so that was the TNA contract updates.